everyone, and welcome to the Womenpreneurs Radio Network. And joining me is Possibility Scout Brandy Morris. She's also a Brilliance Instigator. Brandy helps service-providing solopreneurs manage, prioritize, and implement their endless flow of brilliant ideas. She works with her clients to transform murky, half ideas into actionable gold and keep them focused as they make it all happen. She is a chronic innovator's best friend, and I'm so excited to have Brandy here on our show today. Welcome to our show, Brandy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm kind of smiling through this bio. You can probably hear my giggle, my laughter, as I was reading it, because your choice of words, Possibility Scout and Brilliance Instigator. How did you go about choosing that, to describe yourself? Tell us a little about you.
Well, I'm obsessed with possibility, and I just think that the idea of possibility scouting, ideas are really just possibilities that we've thought of, that have actually entered our brain. So I think Possibility Scout is really what all of us are doing when we're innovating. And then Brilliance Instigator is because I think that every single person on the planet is brilliant, and one of my talents is being able to kind of wrangle that in and help people see exactly how brilliant they are.
Great. Well, I tell you this, the topic at hand that we're going to discuss today, making chronic innovative work for you, or work for you. Chronic, that word, again, your choice of words I have such a smile again because of those choice of words. I know that we do things, we think about chronic, we think about chronic illnesses, chronic, all kind of different things, but to place it in business, I'm definitely looking forward to kind of diving into that. And so the first question I'm going to ask you is, what the heck is a chronic innovation?
Well, chronic innovation is the idea that you have more ideas than hours in a day or even days in a year. So you're constantly thinking of the next big thing. Chronic innovator is a human idea generator. They're just constantly coming up with new and brilliant ideas.
So then, Brandy, how does someone know that they're a chronic innovator? I mean, I lie down every night, and as I'm sleeping, the mind is racing. I'm praying, please help me stop thinking about business. I don't want to think of another idea or something else that I may need to do with this idea. Is that someone a chronic innovator because they're full of ideas? Or is that
yes,
different?
that definitely sounds like a chronic innovator. They probably have notebooks and notebooks full of ideas or their Evernotes. They're highly creative. They're probably desired in brainstorming sessions. So they're probably invited to help people bounce ideas around. And they're fixers. So they can't hear a problem without immediately coming up with, more than a few solutions right away.
So then a chronic innovator such as myself, someone that has tons of ideas, tons of different thought patterns, this package, this plan, sometimes we feel a little scattered, Brandy. We don't know where to start in some cases, because, again, you're constantly coming up with things, but you don't know where to begin. How did you end up working with someone like me, a chronic innovator? How can you help someone like me?
Well, I always say it takes one to know one, so I'm a chronic innovator myself. I started my career as a life coach, and then I was doing this business program and just started talking to people about their ideas, and I realized that I loved doing that. So where I, like to work with people best is when they're in the exact phase you were just talking about. So they are overwhelmed with ideas, just kind of the ideas are spinning around in their head all the time. They just don't know where to go next. So that's when I work with people best and just help them focus in and figure out what is the next best step for them.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to say, are there any steps that a chronic innovator should actually take? I'm a strategist by nature, and I tell you, we get into that term business strategist, so broad, you know how that is.
Mm-hmm.
I can, when you sit down and you speak with me, understanding your vision more so is where I come from. You talk to me, you tell me your dreams, your goals, and all of that, and immediately my brain is ticking. And I'm that visionary person, that visionary strategist, if I want to put that term strategist on the end of it. And I tell you, as I see these different things to pop up, or the things that people, that chronic innovator, the things that they wish they could do, wish they knew how to do, what they wanted to do, and so forth, the one common thing that they wish they had are steps and tools to do that. The first question they'll ask is, Brandy, how can I start? I don't even know where to begin. Are there any steps that you could share with us? And I know that we're not here for a very long time, so maybe a couple steps that, if you don't mind sharing with us, that we could take to hone in on these things.
Definitely. I actually have an entire library of worksheets, which are for these kind of steps. So some of the tools are check it or chuck it, which is the idea of an action map to figure out, is this idea actually worth it? I use this term idea clutter a lot. So what happens is we have all these ideas and we know they're kind of golden, but they're probably not the right one for us. But because they're sitting there in the back of our head, kind of on our perpetual to-do list, they're taking up valuable brain real estate. So getting rid of some of those ideas is one of the things that I like to do. The other thing is to focus in on what's important to you. Do you know where you want to be headed? Is it just a lot of chronic innovators have their to-do list is kind of something they write down and never follow. So that, every week looks drastically different than the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to focus and figure out what it is you're after so you can funnel all your chronic innovation into the same direction.
Well, I can tell you this. I must admit, I think that for most business owners, new business owners, and existing business owners, we sometimes run into the problem of not quite knowing or understanding whether or not we should actually work on certain ideas that come to light in our mind. How can you recommend or tell me, Danette, I don't think this fits you? Is that the type of things that you can actually help and work with a chronic innovator? You said you can help them kind of move, see that this doesn't necessarily fit. How do we know that? How do we know if this dream or this vision that we got in our mind for this certain thing that we think that we should be doing business-wise, all these ideas and all of that, how can we, how can we subtract or take away those things that don't quite fit? How can you help that chronic innovator in that realm?
One of the most important questions, I think, is what are your ideal clients in need of right now? So if you figured out who it is you serve best, you're working with clients right now, and that's probably the best way for chronic innovators to be coming up with ideas rather than hiding away, waiting for perfection, to actually be working with people. So when they're working with people, they learn what their clients need, and if they can keep that focus and kind of let everything else fall to the wayside, that's my number one tip.
Okay.
And then the other thing, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, dear. The other thing? I'm so excited I stepped past you.
That's okay. The other thing is just really knowing how you work best rather than trying to, I saw someone had a group coaching program. I'm going to create a group coaching program too. So knowing why you're picking the projects you're picking.
Well, again, going back to our topic, making chronic innovation work for you, does that still somewhat stem on understanding and knowing who your real true target audience or niche, depending on the side of the world you're from? Does that play a role, in your opinion, as it pertains to this topic?
Yes, definitely. I think anyone could agree that too many ideas sounds like a pretty awesome problem to have. So it's not about turning off chronic innovation so much as tuning it in to the things that matter most. So it's really about creating focus and kind of doing what I do, which is, I made idea creation part of my job. So if you can find a way to do that, that's another way to leverage your chronic innovation.
Okay, so that was definitely was going to ask you that. How can one really leverage their chronic innovation? That scattered brain person that's all over here. I'm thinking about this membership program that I have. I have an association. I have these radio shows. I've got people that I want to host. I've got this person here that's perfect for this topic. And, there's only how many hours in a day? And you have all these ideas, and then they turn out somewhat to, you position yourself to kind of tackle and run into problems because you just don't know which one to leverage first. What advice can you give us on that? How do you know which one to leverage first? Which idea do you pull from? Do we have to necessarily know our clients' pain points, or should it come in the form of a service or a product, or can we tackle them all?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Ideas live in our business in so many different places. So we have service offerings, there's content, there's just looking at the services you offer and how you deliver that service to your clients. So there's a lot of places ideas live. I think what really matters is, what are my immediate needs? What are my short-term goals, for the next quarter? And what are my long-term goals? And looking at the steps that match up. You don't have to do every idea, and you definitely don't have to do them all at the same time. So giving yourself that space to create, I think, is really helpful.
Well, Brandy, as a chronic innovator myself, the one thing I'm dependent on are tools to help me to take care of XYZ. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is I need to take care, and whatever topic, whatever project and so forth that I'm working on, I'm that tool-driven person. What tools can you refer us to help us, that these chronic innovators such as myself and others?
Okay. Well, I definitely teased out my own library of worksheets, Operation Ideation. And that's a new tool, a new free tool every month to help people instigate, illuminate, and implement their business ideas. A book that I love that I suggest to everyone, every chronic innovator I talk to, is The Accidental Creative. I think that book is jam-packed with great ideas that are perfect for people just like us.
Well, the one question I'm sure you've had to address before is such. I have questions that people throw at me when I use the terminology wifepreneur and mompreneur. How have you addressed that? When you tell a person, whether your ideal client is that woman or man, in my case it's a woman, if you were talking to your clients and you called them a chronic innovator, what do they say about that terminology? Is there a solid meaning that we could pull out of the hat and use to help them know that they fit in this area, and they are an innovator, they're creative and all of that, and they need some help with it? Well, what is that? Is it, do they generally get clarity out of that naming scheme that you've called them, that you use out here, or what are they saying when they hear that?
Well, it's funny because it was kind of a term that I had coined in writing sales copy for a completely different program, and it just kind of came out. And the more I said the words to people, the more people said, "Oh my goodness, that's me," or "I know exactly what you're talking about." And it just made so much sense to me. I was like, that is the term that just resonates with people. So generally, someone who's a chronic innovator knows right away that that's them, because they're just like you. They've been up all night thinking about all of these brilliant ideas.
Just like me, up all night, yeah. Well, when we think back on coaches, consultants, I started out earlier when we began at the top of the show. We spoke about me calling myself a business strategist, or we could say business consultant. What separates Brandy from the average business consultant? You being that chronic innovator, that person that helps someone like me who's all over the place get organized. What separates you? And heck, let's be direct. What would cause me to want to come and work with you, for you to help me get all untwisted and organized and all together?
Well, Um, that's a great question, actually. I think one of the things that separates me from other business consultants is my head in clouds, feet on ground approach. So we're always going to start by playing in the possibilities. I know that my clients are brilliant people, so I like to let them play and, kind of go into crazy, ridiculous ideas before we go into getting our feet on the ground and then really looking at what it's going to take to make this brilliant idea happen. So it's not just about coming to me with a whole bunch of ideas, it's about taking those ideas, mixing them up, and making them even better, and then figuring out how to implement them. So there's a whole process there, and I love being with my clients along the entire process. People come to me for two reasons. One, they either have so many ideas they can't pick and don't know where to go next, or the other is they have one really giant, scary idea, and they really just need an action plan to get them going.
Great. So you put the action plans in place for them. Is there a process of elimination or so forth? I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to visualize because think about it. Here you are. You're on the phone with me, and it's funny. I'm actually using myself as a case study with you. As I said when we first started, when I heard the term chronic innovator, I was like, wow, that sounds like me. What advice would you give a chronic innovator that you're working with on their starting point? If you had one, piece of advice, because I'm sure from the way it sounds you have tons that you could actually help us with. But if I was to ask for just one key element or the biggest advice that you could give me, this chronic innovator, that would allow me to hit the floor running, what would that be?
Well, I think a lot of chronic innovators, they get caught up in their ideas and into analysis paralysis because they're trying to fit into the industry. So I know most of the entrepreneurs I know left their corporate world or whatever because they wanted to be their own boss, and now they're letting their industry be the boss of them. So what ends up happening is they're sitting on these really brilliant, cool, and unique ideas because they're afraid everyone's going to look at them. But at the same time, that's kind of what we're all going for, isn't it? We're all trying to get people's attention. So as long as it's not, out there for the sake of being out there and you're selling useful, practical things to people, I think it's important to let yourself and your brilliance be in everything that you do. So just don't hold back on those what might sound like silly ideas. Give me a call and we'll figure out how to make it more tangible.
Brandy, I'm glad to hear you say that because I've been dealing with a situation recently from a blog article that I had written, and the title was the issue for some people, and one in particular, and then she had someone else to jump on the bandwagon with her. I don't know her personally, and it really doesn't matter, to be quite honest, but it gave me food for thought. As you call yourself that chronic innovator, helping people with their, helping chronic innovators such as myself and others to move forward and actually take their ideas and implement them. I chose to use that language, as I mentioned earlier, wifepreneur and mompreneur. And the argument with one particular lady was just off the charts, and it gave me food for thought because she felt that I was defining her by her marriage. We came up with the term. Well, the term entrepreneur came first, correct? And you had solopreneur. I, being a wife and a mom, a businesswoman, don't like to use the term wife turned or mom turned business owner because I'm still a mom, so I can't turn that way. I am still who I am, But operating in who I am, my vision, my dream, and my goals, and shouting it out loud and not caring about, what others may think per se about that. You mentioned you hit on a key point, those ideas that come out. How can you, or what advice can you give us to help us push past the fear factor of those ideas that are crawling around in our mind so that we can move forward in them?
Yeah,
Help us with that.
I think it really comes down to, remembering the fact that the people who you want to work with are probably the people who are definitely going to understand the terminology that you're using. I call one of my services a brainstorming bonanza. And some people are turned off by that because it sounds silly, but that's actually my goal, because when I'm in session, we're going to be laughing and we're going to have fun. We're also going to get a lot of stuff done. So it's just kind of weeding people out. So if someone doesn't like it, it's probably a good thing, because you don't want to serve everyone. You want to serve the people that are going to take the most out of working with you, and it's probably going to be symbiotic as well.
So what's next for you, Brandy? Do you call yourself a chronic innovator yourself, or is that just a piece of a service that you provide? Are there any upcoming events that you're going to do so that we can get down and get busy and get creative?
Yes, actually. Well, I have coaching packages called partner and implementation sessions. And basically what that is it's a short-term or a long-term situation where I'm helping you get focused and helping you get the things that you want completed. I work with some people monthly and I work with some people weekly. It just depends on what big ideas they're working on in that moment. But the best way to do that is to go to my website, www.brandymorris.com. That's Brandy with a Y. And my Work With Me page has all of my service offerings there. I would also love to invite people to check out Operation Ideation, which is my monthly subscription. You get a free new worksheet in your inbox every month. People always write me and tell me they're using them again and again. So I highly encourage you to check that out as well.
Can we connect with you out there in the social media sphere?
Yes, you can. The best place to actually find me is in my Facebook group. It's called Chronic Innovators Co-op. And that's www.facebook.com/groups/I am a chronic innovator.
Well, thank you so much, Brandy, for stopping by our show today. I'm sure there's several womenpreneurs, mompreneurs, and wifepreneurs that are really truly appreciating this topic here of making chronic innovation work for you. Because, again, with all these ideas that we have flying around in our head, and, some of them are truly, if they're in our head and they keep coming up, we need to address the heart of the matter. I believe that you have given us that peace of mind knowing that it is okay that we have all these things kind of floating around, but also helping us to recognize that we do need to put them in their proper perspectives, and brainstorm and begin to work on it. The thing that I love most about what you said also as well is that, you can help us to take that big idea, and you're encouraging us to take that big idea and not smash it. See what you can do with it, and you'll help us fine-tune it. I'm looking forward to actually dealing with you myself personally on this matter. So you said that also you have there's a free sign-up or newsletter. What is that you said will come in our mailbox once a month?
Yes, it's Operation Ideation, and that's at www.brandymorris.com/free.
Great. Well, I'm encouraging everyone, that our listening audience here, to go out and check Brandy's website out. Make sure that you sign up for that and go ahead and allow yourself to take those ideas to the next level. I've just recently started following Brandy, and she intrigued me. Her out of the, what do you call it, very creative thoughts, just looking at your website, the words that you used, again, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, set up a positive red flag for me. It was like, who is this person? How can you use the words that you're using? And you were comfortable in it. If I could give anyone any bit of advice as we move forward in growing our business, is that we do need to be comfortable with our business processes, and our services and products and so forth that we use. And Brandy here is the one that I truly believe can really help you take those dreams and those thoughts to the next level. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of the stories that you guys will share as you go out and you connect with Brandy. I, too, will definitely have Brandy back on the show. I'm putting it out there now, Brandy,
Sounds
so
good.
that you can get a little bit more deeper. And I'm looking forward to having you more so on a teleseminar or webinar, because I see that we can we can dig a little deeper and get into a little bit more, some more steps in what it is that we need, to do as chronic innovators. So thanks once again for joining me here on the Womenpreneurs Radio Network, and I'm excited about learning and hearing what everyone has to say about what we shared here on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Now, for those of you that would like to know a little more about myself, my name is Danette Moss. I'm your host here at the Womenpreneurs Radio Network, and you'll find us here every Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 8 p.m. Central, and we can go on down the timeline there for the other time zones that you guys may be in. I decided to have this show here in the evening for several reasons. As I mentioned earlier, I am that wife and that mom. I'm a wifepreneur, mompreneur. I know that we all have that busy schedule. I get it. We may run into some single women that are in business that need to connect with someone later on. So I decided to do the show this hour just for that reason, so that we can have quiet time, peace of mind. Some of you that may work, have full-time jobs or part-time jobs, you don't get a chance to get on during the daytime. So we set it up especially for you all, so you can get the tools, the things that you need to succeed in business. I'm excited about hosting you guys here, and hey, I tell you, you never know who you may hear or what you may hear. I do promise this, that there will be tools that you can take and utilize to move forward in your business. That you can guarantee. So again, thanks so much, Brandy, for coming, stopping by our show. And I'm just excited again for having you here, and I'm looking forward to being a brand innovator and a chronic innovator and taking everything I need to the next level, utilizing your services. You see, I keep saying it because I'm looking forward to contacting you after the show to get more details on this. For now, make it a great day. Take care now.
You as well.